In this lesson we will discuss the most important verb terminology, namely tense, aspect, mood and voice. This will help you when learning English in class, online or from a grammar book, since you are certain to come across these words. There will be several slides where you are recommended to pause and read the sentences exemplifying each of the four verb terms. So let's first talk about tense. Learners know that the tense of a verb is closely associated with the time in the real world when the event or state takes place. But how many tenses does English have? Think of your answer before going on to the next slides to see if you're right. If you are an English native speaker, you may have said that there are three tenses: past, present and future. This is an intuitive answer since we can divide time neatly into these three periods. If you are a non-native speaker, you may have listed the verb constructions that you have learned or been taught: present simple, present continuous, present perfect, past simple, past continuous, and so on, and come up with a number between 10 and 20 or more. But what do the grammar experts say? Well, here is an extract from the Oxford Modern English Grammar by linguist Bas Arzt. The inflectional system of tense in English is quite simple in allowing only a present tense and a past tense. English has no future tense. In other words, English has only two tenses. To understand this, it is necessary to know what is meant by the inflectional system of tense, or more specifically by the term inflection. Inflections are changes to word spellings when their grammar changes. For example, the inflection S changes the singular book to the plural books, and the inflection ED changes the present tense play to the past tense played. There is no inflection in English that changes verbs into a future form. Instead, we need to use an auxiliary such as will or going to. Compare this to French, which does have a future tense and consequently does not need an auxiliary. The inflections are shown in red in each case. You are of course entitled to use the word tense in its wider sense, and to refer, for example, to will play as a future tense and is playing as the present continuous tense. But in the rest of this video I will follow the grammar experts and refer to verbs with more than one part, such as will play or have been playing, as verb forms or verb constructions, not tenses. Before moving on to the second verb term, let's briefly review the problem that many learners have with choosing the appropriate verb form to express a particular idea. The problem arises from the frequent mismatch between the tense of the verb, present or past, and the time in the real world. Here are some examples of this mismatch. In the first two sentences, the present tense verb refers to future time. In the third sentence, the present tense refers to past time. In the fourth sentence, the past tense refers to present time, and in the fifth sentence, the past tense refers to the future. Click the links on the lesson index page if you wish to read more information and examples of this time-tense mismatch. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. Now let's turn to aspect, the second important term to understand when talking about verbs. In fact, we have already had examples of the three aspects in English in the non-native speaker's answer to the question about tense, namely the simple aspect, the continuous aspect, also called the progressive aspect, and the perfect aspect. We can define the aspect of the verb as how the speaker chooses to represent the action or state of the verb. This is a fairly nebulous definition, so let's look at an example of each aspect in order to get a better understanding of the concept. So here we have three verbs in the present and past simple aspect. You will note that each verb has a single form. It could be said that the simple aspect represents a simple action or state. On this slide are the same three verbs in the continuous or progressive aspect. You will note that the auxiliary verb to be is used together with the present participle. As the name suggests, the continuous aspect is used when the speaker wishes to convey the fact that the action of the verb has a duration. It continues over a period of time and is as yet unfinished. Finally, let's look at the perfect aspect. Perfect in this case means completed or finished. You will note that the auxiliary verb to have is used with the past participle. So in each of the example sentences, the speaker wishes to convey that the action of the verb was or will be completed at a certain point in time. Note that the perfect and continuous aspects can be combined as in these examples. Choosing the best combination of tense and aspect to convey a particular meaning is one of the most common grammatical problems for learners of English. Particularly difficult is choosing between the past tense simple aspect and the present tense perfect aspect. For example, should it be I ate the whole pizza or I've eaten the whole pizza? Should it be did you do your homework or have you done your homework? The next grammatical term associated with verbs is mood. As with many other terms, there is no agreement among grammarians on what counts as a mood. In this lesson, I'm going to take a traditional view that English has three moods: indicative, imperative, and subjunctive. Speakers or writers choose the verb mood according to whether they wish to convey facts, indicative, or commands, imperative, or hypotheses, subjunctive. The indicative is by far the most common mood. It is used in clauses that make statements of fact or opinion and ask questions. All the numerous English verb constructions can be used in the indicative mood. Here are some examples. The imperative is the mood used to give commands. The commands use the base form of the verb and typically omit the subject. When written, they commonly end with an exclamation mark. This is all simple enough. Here are four examples. The subjunctive mood is more complicated. For a start, many grammarians don't consider it to be a mood at all, and it is used for more than just expressing hypotheses, as initially stated above. Nevertheless, to understand the difference between the indicative and the subjunctive, let's start with hypotheses. The verb form were in these sentences is a past subjunctive. Note that the verb to be is the only surviving verb to retain a past subjunctive form in modern English. In fact, the subjunctive were form is often replaced by the indicative form was in everyday spoken English. For example, if I was you, I'd apologise. Note, however, that many English speakers consider such usage to be incorrect. The other surviving subjunctive form is the present subjunctive in the third person singular of what are called mandative constructions. Here are some examples that give you an idea as to when this particular subjunctive mood is used. Mandative subjunctives are more common in American English than in British English, whose speakers often use alternative indicative forms, as shown here. The final verb term to be covered is voice. Messages can be expressed in the active voice or the passive voice. Here are pairs of equivalent sentences in the two voices in the past tense simple aspect. Note that only transitive verbs, in other words, verbs that can take an object, can be put into the passive voice. You will note that the passive constructions are formed with the auxiliary verb to be and the past participle of the action verb. The examples here show active and passive constructions in various combinations of tense and aspect. The lesson index has links to 2 videos on this important grammar topic where you can learn which voice is the better option in any given context. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. So now you know the most useful terminology that is used to talk about English verbs. This will help you when learning verb grammar in class or studying independently. The other topic briefly covered in this lesson is the frequent mismatch between tense and real time. You are recommended to follow the links on the index page for more about this important and tricky grammatical issue. Okay, you've come to the end of this lesson on verb terminology. Here is the important information in summary. In the description below this video, you will find a link to the lesson index page shown on the left. As you can see, there are 4 ways to access the content, as well as a glossary and links to quizzes and more information on the topic.